From today, I will be doing scary stories for the duration of 1 week, and then I will be returning to the normal schedule of my countdown videos. I hope that you all enjoy this. The following stories are based on true events, according to their authors. When I was younger, I used to live by the woods, and I could see a cemetery from my back porch. One Easter, I remember waking up and seeing the Easter Bunny in one of those terrifying costumes. And what really gets me is I remember smelling the wet hay. When I woke up, I didn't tell anyone, but there was an extra Easter egg in my house that my parents didn't hide. Years later, when I was in high school, I asked my parents if they ever dressed up like the Easter Bunny and came into our room. They said they would never go through so much trouble. Then, my younger sister, who I shared a bunk bed with when this happened, said she remembers when the Easter Bunny came into our room and made a remark about the hay smell. I was terrified that we both remembered seeing a person dressed as a bunny in our room. To make it even stranger, I told the friends I sat with at lunch what had happened. One of the girls was my neighbor from across the street. She told me one Easter a long time ago, she looked out her window during the night and saw the Easter Bunny standing in her driveway. I had chills. To this day, I am terrified of people in rabbit costumes. When my niece was really young, she was in a bouncer at my sister's house. I was house and babysitting. I had left her to go to the kitchen to grab some water. My sister's chocolate labs were probably sniffing and licking her head because I could hear her giggling like she was having a blast. I hadn't noticed how cold it had gotten. Then I heard it. A loud wooden snap, like a thick piece of wood had been snapped in half suddenly, or a tree was knocked over. I ran into the room, and what I saw and smelled freaked me out. The dogs were huddled in the corner, whimpering. My niece was just staring at the ceiling corner with wide eyes, and it was cold and smelled like Stetson. I took her, and we decided to go to a different room. When my sister finally came home, I told her what had happened. She just rolled her eyes and said, "That is Hugh." I was confused. She said Hugh was the previous owner of the house who had died 10 years before his wife sold it. She said he likes to follow my niece around, and you can tell it's him because the dogs freak. It gets cold and smells like cheap cologne. I don't believe in these stuff, but I do believe that feeling you get in your gut when something just doesn't feel right. In college, I would go home every other weekend to work a job I had since high school. I would drive directly from campus after my last class on Friday to my job, which took me about an hour. And after my shift was done, I'd go back to my parents' house, which was out in the middle of nowhere. My parents weren't home yet when I got back from work. They'd often spend their Friday and Saturday evenings drinking like they were the ones in college. So the house was dark, and since it was mid-fall, so was the yard, save for the yard light. I pulled into my normal parking spot, got out of the car, and then turned to open the back door of my car and get my backpack out of the back seat. That's when I noticed that the bathroom light was on. Was that light on when I pulled up? It must have been, right? As I was contemplating the light and reaching for my backpack, there was suddenly a very angry looking old woman standing in the window staring at me. We're not talking resting bitch face here either. She was pissed off at me, and I knew it. We stood there staring at each other for a good 10 seconds until my parents pulled up into the driveway and distracted me from my stare down with the woman in the bathroom. By the time I turned back, the light was still on, but the woman, she was gone. I was in my sophomore year of high school. I would usually get ready and then wait for my mom to drive me to school. While she was getting ready, I was just kind of hanging out in the bathroom with her while she was putting on makeup and curling her hair. She looked a little frazzled, and I asked if everything was okay. She told me about a weird occurrence the night before. She told me that she had been woken up at around 2 a.m. by a strange noise. It wasn't super loud or anything, but it was pretty constant. My dad wasn't woken up by it, though it's not surprising as he sleeps like a log. Anyway, she starts looking for the source of the noise, first checking the bathroom attached to the room, but there isn't anything in there. Next, she walks out into the hall and hears a noise from the bathroom nearby. When she walks in, she sees a hairdryer plugged in and turned on, just sitting in the middle of the bath mat on the floor. She thinks it's strange, but there are 4 kids living in the house, and she thought maybe someone had sleepwalked and turned it on. Whatever, she unplugs it and puts it away. She goes back to bed and eventually falls asleep. About an hour later, she wakes up again and hears the same noise. She's kinda pissed off and goes to check it out again, except now the noise is from downstairs. She tracks it down into the guest bathroom in the main entry hall. My parents' house has like 4 bathrooms. She opens the door and again there's a hairdryer turned on, laying in the middle of the floor. She's freaked out by this point, but she unplugs it and puts it away. She didn't get a great night's sleep after that. So she's telling me this story, and as soon as she comes to the conclusion, we both just freeze and turn our heads into the walk-in closet of her bathroom. As soon as we look in there, the entire light on the ceiling shatters. Not the light bulb, but the glass cover. It shatters, sending shards of glass everywhere. Welp, we both freak and get the heck out. We didn't know what to make of it, but we haven't really had any experiences before or since, and none of my family have experienced anything either.